Well, hello and welcome to another Wilderness Tamed video. We're neither ponding, scything or pruning or anything practical today. I'm just going to have a minor quiet rant. Somebody did comment on one of my videos that I'm the quietest ranter on YouTube. So I thought, well, that could be a theme for a series of videos. But rather than ranting being a theme for a series of videos, I thought expanding on the answers given by the panellists on a certain well-known UK-based radio gardening program would be a better series. So this particular radio-based gardening program has a compere, a host, a selection of panellists who are experts in their field of horticulture, and they're invited to various venues by community garden groups, and they turn up in a church hall or wherever it is and answer questions directly to audience members, local residents and members of these gardening groups. So they've been, this is a really long running show, it's been going for years, and they're very good at suggesting solutions to people's problems, but more often than not they are suggesting exotic plants for particular areas like dry shade or north facing walls on drafty cottages up in the Pennines, or quite specific questions about people who want a good plant to grow in a particular area, or they have pests and diseases and blah blah blah, the usual kind of stuff. But as I say, the majority of what they suggest are exotic plants. They very, very seldom touch on native stuff. They have started doing that because it's become such a popular thing now in the UK. They're a little bit behind me in that respect. I started putting UK native plants into gardens years ago, like way before these folks. I'm talking about 14, 15 years ago, and it's much more recently than that they've started to jump on the let's go native trend. And it is a very fast growing trend in the UK. So a recent one that I heard, and I don't hear this programme very often, it's generally just on a Sunday afternoon when I'm heading up the A1 to visit my mum for afternoon tea and cakes, which is a fine family tradition. And a lady in the audience asked a question about what could she plant in a large sort of boggy area of ground that she's got, a big wet patch. And the first suggestion was, put some hostas in. Ugh. Expensive slug food, that's all they are. Within days of the leaves opening, they're shredded by slugs and snails, and they look tatty, and they have a very short flowering season, and the flowers aren't that spectacular, really. I mean, they're all right, but nothing special. And then there was other things like regersias or the hybrid candelabra primulas, which, yeah, they're okay, but in a specific sort of places. And one of the panellists asked this lady exactly how big is this area, to which she replied, it's about the size of a football pitch. Right, okay, a soccer pitch. In America, a gridiron. in Australia, an Aussie rules pitch. In the rest of the world, the size of a football pitch. So essentially this woman has a small wetland nature reserve to manage, and suggesting that she buys things like regersias and hybrid primulas and hostas, which in a 3 litre or 5 litre pot plant, which is how they're generally available from garden centres, they're going to cost you anything from £8 up to £15 per plant. That's going to cost a fortune to stock something the size of a football pitch. One of the panellists did kind of touch on using a native plant, but then completely ruined it by suggesting, oh, you could use Caltha palustris, the Marsh Marigold. There's some fantastic cultivars. And you do, oh, God. Cultivars, brilliant. So what? The one that nature's evolved isn't good enough for you. And I don't know what it is with people. There's this obsession with tinkering with what nature's done. And it's in all, I mean, horticulture, obviously, a prime example. Agriculture, all the crops we eat, pretty much everything is a hybrid of something else. Carrots were never originally orange. They were grey and purple, I believe, and originated from Afghanistan, as far as I remember, from my food history research. And most flowers, you know, exotic stuff that we grow in gardens, or that are grown in gardens, they're hybridized, so they're double flowered and variegated leaves, or purple leaves, or yellow leaves, and just it's like, ooh, what can we do to change this? Another field I'm interested in, herpetology, reptiles and amphibians. Well, the captive reptile and amphibian market is now awash with hybridized geckos and bearded dragons and snakes, albinos and leucistic. Now I know albinos and leucistic reptiles can occur naturally, but they don't live very long in the wild. They're picked off by predators because they stand like a sore thumb. But people are literally accessorizing with reptiles. They're creating all these different colour morphs, and you just think, just leave it alone. Whatever hybrid corn snake you've produced is nowhere near as beautiful as a naturally occurring corn snake. They're a stunning animal. But no, we've got to tinker and breed it with this one that's got slightly, whatever it is, difference to it. Just leave it alone. Just stop. Just stop. It's not good. Not good for the animals. Might be good for your wallet because you're selling lots of hybridised things to other people who like hybridised things. Each to their own, I guess, you know, but it's just like, no. So yeah, she's getting back to Marsh Marigolds. There's panellists immediately suggest, oh, you could use cultivars of Marsh Marigolds. The actual naturally occurring Marsh Marigold is a stunning plant without any alteration whatsoever, and you'll get naturally occurring seedling variation. So bearing in mind that this this audience member had a football-sized bog garden or wetland area, nature reserve to look after, not one of the panellists suggested she source some native UK bog plants, marsh plants, pond marginals, either as seed or as plug plants. I would recommend seed because for a football pitch size area of land, you don't want to be bent over or on your knees progging plug plants into the ground. Just when you could just scatter a whole load of seed. And I'll put links in the description below to some of the nurseries that I've used for years and years to get plug plants and seed mixes from. And they're UK based, All the seeds are harvested in the UK from various sources, sometimes, in one in particular, from their own plant nursery, their own farm. Basically, they have turned it over to wildflower seeds, UK native wildflower seeds, and they provide mixes for local authorities and conservation charities like wildlife trusts, etc., who are doing the same as that lady is going to do, establishing huge areas of land to wildflowers. So at no point did any of the panellists suggest purple loosestrife, meadowsweet, watermint, Brooklime, forget-me-not, ragged robin, devil's bit scabious, is it square-stemmed St John's wort, purple loosestrife, have I said that one? Sneezewort. There's 10 straight away off the top of my head. Lovely decorative plants, fantastic flowers, flowering all. Primulas and cowslips grow in boggy land. Get the native ones, not these Chinese hybrid nonsense things. Not for establishing in a wetland, which is what you've got. Yeah, so there's, what's that, 12 naturally occurring native wildflowers. Long flowering season, great food plant for insects. Not just the flowers, but some butterflies and moths will lay their eggs specifically on some of those things. Cardamine thingy, the cuckoo flower, lady smock, is a food plant for orange-tipped butterflies. And look, it's just fantastic in a wetland. Just does really well. Spreads like mad. Some of the native orchids, they're expensive to buy either as plug plants or even as seeds. And it may be that you've got some of this stuff, and I kind of feel like I'm addressing the lady who asked the question now. Maybe that she had that kind of stuff growing anyway and just wasn't aware of it, or maybe it was full of tusky grasses and things that it kind of swamped out the other stuff. Yellow flag iris. I mean, some people say, oh no, it takes over a football pitch size plot of land. It's going to take many, many years for yellow flag iris to overtake that. And again, bit of management. You can keep on top of these things, but you wouldn't have to go overboard. So yeah, there's a massive amount of interesting, colourful, scented, native plants which are going to thrive in that area. I mean, suggesting hostas in a permanently soggy patch of land, I'm not sure they would do very well anyway. But anyway, yeah, I would never recommend hostas to anybody, because it's basically you're spending like round about £10 on something to feed the slugs with. I'm not like, you know, I've converted, but I used to grow, I think I had about 6 or 7 different varieties of hostas in my own garden when I first moved in, and I'd gone through the formal horticultural training where I was just obsessed with filling my garden with as many exotic things as I could. And it wasn't until I worked for the National Trust that I kind of clicked from the dark side to the slightly more practical side. And by that I mean a garden that is planted with native perennials takes a lot less looking after than mowing grass. All I mow in my garden, which you've seen, is a little access path from the back door and the decking out to the shed at the end and the wood store and a path around the top pond. And that's it. The rest is just allowed to grow. So yeah, think native. I mean, it's not like you're taking a risk in trying to grow native stuff. It's going to grow. I mean, anybody who's ever tried sowing oxeye daisies or red campion, field scabious, ragged robin, water ravens. Oh, did I mention water ravens before? There you go, on top of the primulas and the cowslips and the yellow iris. That's about 14, 15 plants that will do well in a bog. Oh, globe flower, Trolius. There's another one. So yeah, they're just like, you would almost struggle to stop wildflowers germinating. You'd have to cover them over with a black plastic sheet and prevent any light getting to them. They want to grow. They are persistent, shall we say. So yeah, as I say, links below to some suggested nurseries, and that is, again, it's for the UK. I'm sure those of you watching from around the world, if you do a little bit of research, you will find people growing things that will survive, native plants that will survive any conditions you can throw at them in your own garden or on your own land or in your yard, however you want to refer to your personal plots. And it just makes life so much easier and cheaper, essentially. Yeah. So that's my rather elaborate and long-winded response to one question on, I'm going to give it away, it's GQT, Gardener's Question Time, on Radio 4 by the BBC. And it's worth tuning into. I mean, they do give some great advice if you've got gardening problems. I'm not sure it would transfer and translate so well to other parts of the world where what we consider exotics would be natives. But yeah, useful nonetheless. And I'd be interested actually in the comments if you found this useful. If you have any questions you want to ask, I'm more than happy to dedicate a video to you to help you out with whatever gardening problems you have. I mean, yes, in the time it takes me to do the video and respond to you, you probably could have gone out and done the research yourself, but where's the fun in that? Why not let somebody else work for you, i.e. me? And if that's something you'd like to do, then please give me a thumbs up. One would do. I think you can only click the thumbs up button once, unless you repeatedly watch this video. I can imagine that being a thrill. Subscribe and hit the bell so that when I do ping out another video, you'll get a little notification in your YouTube. When you open it up, you'll see a little figure in a red spot next to your bell. Yes. And yeah, I look forward to seeing some requests for gardening problems. I did once appear, was it several times? Yeah, working at a garden centre many years ago, I did appear as a regular panellist on a local radio phone-in show, gardening stuff, which was quite good fun to do. And look where I am now, just a stepping stone into a broader world of fame and fortune. Maybe it's not. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed that. Well, if you haven't enjoyed it, I hope it's been moderately bearable, at the very least. And hopefully see you in the next one.